Good morning, children. Today we will do a new chapter in supplementary reader. The name of the chapter is Bholi. Let us begin. From her very childhood, Bholi was neglected at home. Why did her teacher take special interest in her? Did Bholi measure up to her teacher's expectations? Why is Bholi's father worried about her? For what unusual reasons is Bholi sent to school? Her name was Sulekha. Underline. Her name was Sulekha. But since her childhood, everyone had been calling her Bholi. The simpleton. Simpleton meaning is given at the back after the end of this lesson. A foolish person who can easily be tricked by others. A person who is simple, who is not very tactful, who is simple at heart, and people can fool him or her. She was the fourth daughter of Nambardar Ramlal. When she was 10 months old, she had fallen off the cot on her head, and perhaps it had damaged some part of her brain. That was why she remained a backward child and came to be known as Bholi the simpleton. So, this is the reason why Sulekha was given the nickname Bholi, because when she was small, she fell off her cot on her head and there was some injury in some part of her brain. That is why she remained a backward child and was given this nickname Bholi. At birth, the child was very fair and pretty, but when she was 2 years old, she had an attack of smallpox. Earlier, children, smallpox was a deadly disease. Now, smallpox has been eradicated totally, but earlier, smallpox was considered a very deadly disease. When she was 2 years old, she had an attack of smallpox. Only the eyes were saved, but the entire body was permanently disfigured by deep black pock marks. So it was a problem in smallpox that when any human being suffered from smallpox, he or she had dark marks. Even after the disease was cured completely, dark marks were left on the face, on the body, which indicated that the person had been suffering from smallpox and it remained forever. The marks became permanent. So, this was what happened with Bholi also. Little Sulekha could not speak till she was 5. And when at last she learned to speak, she stammered. The other children often made fun of her and mimicked her. Mimicked her means they copied her. As a result, she talked very little. Why? Because she used to stammer and other people used to make fun of her, they mimicked her, so she felt embarrassed and she talked very little. Ramlal had 7 children, 3 sons and 4 daughters, and the youngest of them was Bholi. It was a prosperous farmer's household and there was plenty to eat and drink. All the children except Bholi were healthy and strong. The sons had been sent to the city to study in the schools and later in colleges. Of the daughters, Radha, the eldest, had already been married. The second daughter, Mangala's marriage had also been settled, and when that was done, Ramlal would think of the third, Champa. They were good looking, healthy girls, and it was not difficult to find bridegrooms for them. So, all children were healthy, they were good looking, and Ramlal was also a wealthy farmer. He was prosperous, he had everything in his house, there was no scarcity of anything, and only the youngest child, Bholi, was weak. She was a little different from other siblings, and she was not pretty at this time because of smallpox marks on her body and on her face. But Ramlal was worried about Bholi. She had neither good looks nor intelligence. Bholi was 7 years old when Mangala was married. The same year, a primary school for girls was opened in their village. The Tehsildar Sahib came to perform its opening ceremony. He said to Ramlal, "As a revenue official, you are the representative of the government in the village. And so you must set an example to the villagers. You must send your daughters to school." That night, when Ramlal consulted his wife, she cried, "Are you crazy? If girls go to school, who will marry them?" So we are talking about those times when girls were not given education. They were just confined in their houses. They had to do household work, assist their mother, and after they grew up, they got married. They were not given education. There was no system of sending girls to school. So when he suggested that Bholi should be sent to the school, his wife, Ramlal's wife, shouted at him and said, "Are you crazy? If girls go to school, who will marry them?" But Ramlal had not the courage to disobey the Tehsildar. At last, his wife said, "I will tell you what to do. Send Bholi to school. As it is, there is little chance for her getting married with her ugly face and lack of sense. Let the teachers at school worry about her. Does Bholi enjoy her first day at school? Does she find her teacher different from the people at home?" The next day, Ramlal caught Bholi by the hand and said, "Come with me. I will take you to school." Bholi was frightened. She did not know what a school was like. She remembered how a few days ago their old cow, Lakshmi, had been turned out of the house and sold. "No, no," she shouted in terror and pulled her hand away from her father's grip. That means she was scared that if she will go to school, she will also be sold. She will be turned out of the house one day and she also might be sold like Lakshmi was sold. So she was not ready to go to school. "What's the matter with you, you fool?" shouted Ramlal. "I am only taking you to school." Then he told his wife, "Let her wear some decent clothes today. Or else, what will the teachers and the other school girls think of us when they see her?" New clothes had never been made for Bholi. The old dresses of her sisters were passed on to her. No one cared to mend or wash her clothes. But today she was lucky to receive a clean dress which had shrunk after many washings and no longer fitted Champa. She was even bathed and oiled, and oil was rubbed into her dry and matted hair. Only then did she begin to believe that she was being taken to a place better than her home. So after all this was done, oil was put on her hair, she was made to take a bath, then she dressed up in new clothes, then she comforted herself with the thought that she is being taken to a place which is going to be better than her home. When they reached the school, the children were already in their classrooms. Ramlal handed over his daughter to the headmistress. Left alone, the poor girl looked about her with fear-laden eyes. There were several rooms, and in each room, girls like her squatted on mats. Squatted means they sat on their heels. Like a Bholi, there were other girls in the classroom and they were sitting on their heels on the mat, reading from books or writing on slates. The headmistress asked Bholi to sit down in a corner in one of the classrooms. Bholi did not know what exactly a school was like and what happened there, but she was glad to find so many girls almost of her own age present there. She hoped that one of these girls might become her friend. The lady teacher who was in the class was saying something to the girls, but Bholi could understand nothing. She looked at the pictures on the wall. The colors fascinated her. The horse was brown, just like the horse on which the Tehsildar had come to visit their village. The goat was black, like the goat of their neighbor. The parrot was green, like the parrots she had seen in the mango orchard. And the cow was just like their Lakshmi. And suddenly, Bholi noticed that the teacher was standing by her side, smiling at her. "What's your name, little one?" Bho. She could stammer no further than that. Then she began to cry, and tears flowed from her eyes in a helpless flood. She kept her head down as she sat in her corner, not daring to look up at the girls who she knew were still laughing at her. So, why was she crying? She was crying because she could not speak her name clearly. She stammered, and everybody was making fun of her. The girls were laughing at her, and she was so ashamed and embarrassed. When the school bell rang, all the girls scurried out of the classroom. Scurried means they ran hurriedly out of the classroom. But Bholi dared not leave her corner. Bholi remained sitting and at that corner in the classroom. She did not get up and go out. Her head still lowered. She kept on sobbing. That means she kept on crying slowly and softly. She kept sitting there and she cried. Bholi, the teacher's voice was so soft and soothing. In all her life, she had never been called like that. It touched her heart. Why? Why it touched her heart? Because she had never got such a sympathetic treatment in her house. Even her parents used to consider her inferior and they used to compare Bholi with other children which they had in their home, and Bholi was always neglected. Bholi always felt that she was neglected because actually she was neglected. Even her parents did not pay attention towards Bholi. But now here the teacher took her name in a soft and soothing voice, and this impressed Bholi a lot. The teacher's voice was so soft and soothing. In all her life, she had never been called like that. It touched her heart. "Get up," said the teacher. It was not a command, but just a friendly suggestion. Bholi got up. "Now tell me your name." Sweat broke out over her whole body. Would her stammering tongue again disgrace her? She is thinking in her mind that the teacher is again asking her to tell her name, and she is thinking that is she going to feel embarrassed once again because she will stammer once again? Would her stammering tongue again disgrace her? For the sake of this kind woman, however, she decided to make an effort. She had such a soothing voice. she would not laugh at her. So this thought comforted Bholi, because she thought that the teacher seems to be so kind. Her voice is so soothing and so kind that Bholi was sure that the teacher will not make fun of her, she will not laugh at her. She would not laugh at her. Bho, bho, she began to stammer. Well done, the teacher encouraged her. Come on now, the full name? Bholi. At last, she was able to say it and felt relieved, as if it was a great achievement. Well done, the teacher patted her affectionately and said, Put the fear out of your heart, and you will be able to speak like anyone else. Bholi looked up as if to ask, Really? Yes, it will be very easy. You just come to school every day. Will you come? Bholi nodded. No, say it aloud. The teacher wanted Bholi to say yes. So she did not accept when Bholi nodded her head. And she is encouraging Bholi to say that yes, she will come to school. Yes. And Bholi herself was astonished that she had been able to say it. Didn't I tell you? Now take this book. The book was full of nice pictures, and the pictures were in color: dog, cat, goat, horse, parrot, tiger, and a cow, just like Lakshmi. And with every picture was a word in big black letters. In 1 month, you will be able to read this book. Then I will give you a bigger book, then a still bigger one. In time, you will be more learned than anyone else in the village. Then no one will ever be able to laugh at you. People will listen to you with respect, and you will be able to speak without the slightest stammer. Understand? Now go home and come back early tomorrow morning. So this is how the teacher encouraged Bholi, and these words of encouragement had a great impact on Bholi. Bholi felt as if suddenly all the bells in the village temple were ringing, and the trees in front of the schoolhouse had blossomed into big red flowers. Why did she think so? Because she was treated so well. It was just her first day in school, and the teacher treated her so well. She was so sympathetic towards Bholi. She was so kind. She talked to her in such a soothing manner, in such a kind manner, that Bholi was greatly impressed, and she was now ready to come to school very willingly, very happily every day. And she was so happy on that day when she returned home. She felt as if the village temple bells are ringing, and the trees are full of red flowers. That means she experienced happiness everywhere around her. Her heart was throbbing with a new hope and a new life. What new hope? She was very hopeful that now she is also going to become a learned person one day. She will go to school, receive education regularly, and a time will come when she will become fully educated. People will respect her, and she will never stammer in her life. Why do Bholi's parents accept Bishambar's marriage proposal? Why does the marriage not take place? Thus the years passed. The village became a small town. The little primary school became a high school. There were now a cinema under a tin shed and a cotton ginning mill. Cotton ginning mill means a mill where cotton was separated from its seeds. The mail train began to stop at their railway station. One night after dinner, Ramlal said to his wife, Then shall I accept Bishambar's proposal? Yes, certainly, his wife said. Bholi will be lucky to get such a well-to-do bridegroom. A big shop, a house of his own, and I hear several thousand in a bank. Moreover, he is not asking for any dowry. That's right, but he is not so young, you know, almost the same age as I am. And he also limps. Limps means he is not able to walk properly. There is some defect in his walking. Moreover, the children from his first wife are quite grown up. So these were the characteristics of that man who would be the bridegroom of Bholi. So what does it matter? His wife replied. 45 or 50. It is not great age for a man. We are lucky that he is from another village and does not know about her pock marks. Pock marks are the marks due to smallpox. It is no great age for a man. We are lucky that he is from another village and does not know about her pock marks and her lack of sense. If we don't accept this proposal, she may remain unmarried all her life. So Bholi's parents, especially her mother, was ready for this proposal. She was ready that Bholi should get married to Bishambar. Although he was of such a great age, he was of almost the same age as Bholi's father, and this man had how many children? This is not mentioned, but the children were quite grown up. The children from her first wife were quite grown up, but Bholi's mother said that 45 or 50 years of age is nothing for a man, and Bholi should get married to this man because he does not know anything about his pock marks and about her lack of sense. Yes, but I wonder what Bholi will say. Now this Bholi's father is thinking that what about Bholi? Is she going to accept the proposal? What will that witless one say? Witless means foolish one. What will that witless one say? She is like a dumb cow. Her mother is saying that she is so foolish. What will she say? She is like a dumb cow. As a cow remains silent, she cannot say anything. Similarly, Bholi is like a dumb cow. Maybe you are right, muttered Ramlal. In the other corner of the courtyard, Bholi lay awake on her cot, listening to her parents' whispered conversation. Bishambar Nath was a well-to-do grocer. He came with a big party of friends and relations with him for the wedding. A brass band playing a popular tune from an Indian film headed the procession, with the bridegroom riding a decorated horse. Ramlal was overjoyed to see such pomp and splendor. Pomp means show and splendor. He had never dreamt that his fourth daughter would have such a grand wedding. Bholi's elder sisters, who had come for the occasion, were envious of her luck. When the auspicious moment came, the priest said, "Bring the bride." Bholi, clad in a red silken bridal dress, was led to the bride's place near the sacred fire. "Garland the bride," one of his friends prompted Bishambar Nath. The bridegroom lifted the garland of yellow marigolds. A woman slipped back the silken veil from the bride's face. Bishambar took a quick glance. The garland remained poised in his hands. That means the garland remained still in the hands of Bishambar Nath as soon as he saw the face of Bholi. The bride slowly pulled down the veil over her face. "Have you seen her?" said Bishambar to the friend next to him. She has pock marks on her face. Vishambharnath is saying to his friend, one of his friends, have you seen the bride? She has pock marks on her face. So what? You are not young either, his friend replies. Maybe, but if I am to marry her, her father must give me 5,000 rupees. Now he is trying to blackmail the bride's parents, and he says that if I will marry this girl, Bholi's father must give me 5,000 rupees. Ramlal went and placed his turban, his honor, at Bishambar's feet. Do not humiliate me so. Do not insult me so. Take 2,000 rupees. No, 5,000, or we go back. Keep your daughter. Be a little considerate, please. If you go back, I can never show my face in the village. Then out with 5,000. Tears streaming down his face, Ramlal went in, opened the safe, and counted out the notes. He placed the bundle at the bridegroom's feet. On Bishambar's greedy face appeared a triumphant smile. Triumphant smile means a victorious smile. Why was he victorious? Because he was feeling so happy that he could get 5,000 rupees as he had demanded. He had gambled and won. Give me the garland, he announced. Once again, the veil means the cover which is put on the face of the bride. Once again, the veil was slipped back from the bride's face, but this time her eyes were not downcast. She was not looking down. She was looking up, looking straight at her prospective husband. Prospective husband means likely to be husband, would be husband. And in her eyes there was neither anger nor hate, only cold contempt. Only cold contempt means, contempt here means a feeling that somebody does not deserve any respect. She was not angry when she looked at her would-be husband. She did not hate that man also, but she had that contempt in her eyes which showed that this man cannot be respected. He does not demand any respect. Bishambar raised the garland to place it round the bride's neck. But before he could do so, Bholi's hand struck out like a streak of lightning and the garland was flung into the fire. That means she threw the garland, she raised her hand and she threw the garland into the fire. She got up and threw away the veil. She also threw the veil, the cloth that had covered her face. Pitaji, said Bholi in a clear, loud voice. And her father, mother, sisters, brothers, relations, and neighbors were startled. They were surprised to hear her speak without even the slightest stammer. Pitaji, take back your money. I am not going to marry this man. Ramlal was thunderstruck. Now he was so surprised. He was shocked. He had never expected Bholi to react in this manner. The guests began to whisper, so shameless, so ugly and so shameless. Everybody started talking like this. Bholi, are you crazy? Shouted Ramlal. You want to disgrace your family? Have some regard for our izzat. For the sake of your izzat, said Bholi, I was willing to marry this lame old man. But I will not have such a mean, greedy and contemptible coward as my husband. Contemptible here means a hateful person. A person who can only be hated. You can't respect him, you can only hate him. So Bholi says that I was willing to marry this lame old man just because of your izzat. But I will not have such a mean, greedy, and contemptible coward as my husband. I won't, I won't, I won't. She firmly disagrees. And she says that I am not going to marry this man. This man is a mean person. He is so greedy and he is fit to be hated. What a shameless girl. We all thought she was a harmless dumb cow. Bholi turned violently on the old woman. Yes, auntie, you are right. You all thought I was a dumb driven cow. That's why you wanted to hand me over to this heartless creature. But now the dumb cow, the stammering fool, is speaking. Do you want to hear more? She is becoming so angry and she is saying these words to a lady who is standing and speaking to her nearby. Bishambar Nath, the grocer, started to go back with his party. The confused bandsmen thought that this was the end of the ceremony and struck up a closing song. Ramlal stood rooted to the ground. He stood there still. He could not move. His head bowed low with the weight of grief and shame. The flames of the sacred fire slowly died down. Everyone was gone. Ramlal turned to Bholi and said, "But what about you? No one will ever marry you now. What shall we do with you?" And Sulekha said in a voice that was calm and steady, "Don't you worry, Pitaji. In your old age, I will serve you and mother, and I will teach in the same school where I learnt so much. Isn't that right, ma'am?" This ma'am is the same lady who was Bholi's teacher. The teacher had all along stood in a corner watching the drama. "Yes, Bholi, of course," she replied. And in her smiling eyes was the light of a deep satisfaction that an artist feels when contemplating the completion of her masterpiece. What a beautiful ending of this story, children. See this last line once again. Rather, I am reading the last paragraph once again. The teacher had all along stood in a corner watching the drama. So the teacher was watching everything. She had heard all the conversation that took place between Bholi, Bishambar Nath and Bholi's father. And she is saying to Bholi, "Yes, Bholi, of course." And in her smiling eyes, whose smiling eyes?